Hey everyone, Michael Beresford here, here today with Matt Lewison, OpenCorp CEO. G'day Louis.
Hello.
Excellent. We have got an exciting topic today, and it's one that we get asked a lot about. I don't know whether that's just because we've been doing this for nearly 20 years now and people are getting towards the end of their investment life cycle, some of them. But it's about exit strategies. And it's a great question because it makes sense that you build a portfolio and create all this amazing financial wealth. What actually happens to allow you to be able to transition from a portfolio to carefree living, as we like to talk about? Probably no better example than your dad, Steve. You're happy to share kind of what he originally thought, where he ended up, and the kind of nuances in between?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had the good fortune to be able to watch my dad's investment journey from the very first property that he bought all the way through until he exited. I think when he started, he had a really clear picture of what he wanted. He would say, I want 7 properties, I want to own 7 properties, 1 to pay the bills and 6 to live off. So he was really specific about that. And as he went along, and I think he got the bug, he ended up kind of pushing himself and kept going harder, and he ended up owning more than that. But ultimately, when it came time for him to prepare for retirement, he had to probably deleverage a little bit more than what he would have initially thought. And it was a real eye-opener for us. It was great to be able to watch and see how he went through that process. And towards the end, when he started planning, it's probably 6 years before he stopped working or stopped investing, that he asked me to model all the different scenarios, and we came up with a plan. But what became really evident was that he probably didn't need to go as hard as he did. I mean, he loved it, and it was part of the excitement for him. But we realized that pushing yourself a little bit less, but being smart, being methodical about it, and getting to a point where you own 3 to 4 properties and you hold them for 10 years can give somebody the outcome that they're looking for. Because ultimately what we realize investors are looking for is a better lifestyle, and they don't want to wait until they're 60 to get it. And the great thing is, and again, watching my dad go through it, I saw, much as he pushed himself harder than many other people would in terms of growing his portfolio, we saw the benefits for him almost immediately as he started to progress on that property investment journey. He's a very, very shy person. He didn't like to talk about it. In fact, very few people ever knew. But just the ease that he would go about his life and kind of the freedom to make decisions as and when whatever he felt was right at the time. I think it really set him apart from a lot of the other people and parents that we knew. So yes, we saw that benefit, but again, he could have got that perhaps just going a little bit easier. And that's something we try to really reinforce for people, is you don't need to put yourself in a really stressful situation. Like, we want you to have a great life. And as soon as you can start to do that, the better. So kind of aiming for that 3 or 4. But the key is that 10-year holding period, that time to give the properties that you give your portfolio to go up in value and for rents to increase, really opens the door to a lot of different scenarios in terms of an exit. And I think that's kind of the really important thing, that gives you that flexibility. But last week, actually, we had a really exciting milestone at OpenCorp, that another one of our clients let us know that they were retiring, having achieved their goals. And Boz, you held their hand every step of the way. You're kind of involved in their journey from start to finish. So it's probably a great one to share as well.
Yeah, look, it was a fantastic day, and the point that you make around that holding period is really, really key, because what we worked through with Mark and Sue, they came to us not long after the GFC. Obviously, their super had been impacted. They knew they had around 10 years of working life to go, and wanted a better retirement. What they did better than the majority of investors out there is they understood the concept of compound growth, and they understood that there are 2 distinct components or parts to your journey. There's the acquisition phase, and then there's the consolidation phase. And effectively, acquisition is when you're accumulating your properties at whatever rate you can and you feel comfortable. Consolidation is that holding period that Matt talked about. So what Mark and Sue were able to do very, very well, they had a strong equity position. They were both working. Kids, kind of late teens, early 20s, had done the majority of their growing up. And they acquired a couple of investments straight away, and then we mapped out one per year for the next 3 years after that. So what that gave them was a portfolio of 5 investments. And because of the time frame that we got that done in, they had a good 5 to 6 years of holding period. And that just meant that it gave them choice. You know, they were able to sell a property to realise some profit and reduce some debt and improve some cash flow as part of their exit strategy. They were able to, you know, bring forward that time frame because Sue actually retired 2 or 3 years ago now, 3 years ago. And so it just gave them choice, right? But I think the key part is do what you can when you can. And if you've got the ability to acquire 3 properties in 3 years, you're going to be much better off after 10 years than if you buy one in year 1, wait a bit, see how it goes, buy another one in year 4, see how that goes, buy another one in year 8. Understand and map out what your individual roadmap looks like to achieve what you want and get where you want to go. Decide on that number of properties that you think. Obviously, you check in on a regular basis and reassess it. But if you can get that acquisition done as quickly as possible and then hold, that's when you really get the benefits of compound growth. So I guess just to summarise the types of exit strategies that are available to people, we've kind of covered them all off as we've been talking, but the first is living off the rental. So like your dad wanted to do, have multiple of properties and live off that positive cash flow. The second one is that you can use positive cash flow to pay down the debt over time. Obviously that improves the cash flow position, gives you more cash flow to continue to reduce the debt. We call that the domino effect. You can sell down to reduce some debt. A property goes up in value a lot more quickly than you can create equity by reducing debt, and it requires a lot less cash flows. So that's a really popular one at the moment, people adding an extra investment or 2 to their portfolio with the view that in 10 years they'll be able to completely pay their own home off rather than being in that grind for the next 25 or 30 years. And then they can, depending on the amount of equity there, they can unlock that to, you know, substantiate their lifestyle. So the short answer is there are different exit strategies. There's not one way to do it. The one that will work best for you in reality is probably going to be a combination of one or more of those different strategies. It will depend on your financial resources, your borrowing capacity, your time frame, your needs and goals. But when you understand, I guess, where you want to end up before you start out, it gives you a lot more clarity and increases your chance of success.
100%. Your timeline is very important as well. It's one of the reasons why Dad used to say the best time to get into the market is as soon as you can afford to, because he understood the longer you had in the market, the more time you have for the market to work for you, and then the more options you have at the end. If you're looking on a 10-year horizon and that's it, then obviously your decisions are going to have to be very different than if you've got 20 or 30 years.
Yep. I mean, that's one thing that's really come home. You know, we do this all day, every day, but we're not immune for thinking some of the things that everyday investors think about. You know, I was just explaining to my wife, we've been investing for nearly 20 years now, and just the last 3 years and the growth that the markets have seen and what that's meant in terms of compound growth kicker for us has been amazing. You know, so the longer you can hold, we're not in a get-rich-quick scheme. Buy the right kind of properties, the right portfolio required to deliver that result, and be patient. But there is an update for you on exit strategies. Hope you got something out of that, and we'll see you really soon.